Arcade Heroes.
Greetings, it's Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, and going back to trying this format for news. While I've not been a big fan of all the YouTube channels out there that just read the news for you, I prefer to just go read it myself. They are popular, and so it seems like people like watching this style, and so that's kind of what I'm doing here. But give credit where credit is due on everything. A lot of times those channels don't tell you where the sources are, and or you just kind of have to notice what links they're looking at. But as you can see on my screen here, I'm talking pinball today. I don't talk a lot of pinball. I mean, I do cover it on the blog and on the channel here. In fact, I have to thank all those who have been picking up on that operator video that I did recently about pinball and operating pinball in an arcade like mine. I will probably do another follow-up video to that here soon, maybe more than one, just answering questions, because there have been a lot of interesting comments that have been left, and I've been trying to get back to most of them, but it might be worth doing another video about. But anyways, we have possible news on Stern's next production, their next game. So the last game that they released was Rush, based on the Rush rock band, and where Stern Pinball is coming to, as you can see here, San Diego Comic-Con for 2022. Obviously, they've been missing that for a few years because of the pandemic, but they've got some interesting information in here that we'll digest. And I won't just read all this, I'll just pull stuff out of it. But they announced their triumphant return to San Diego Comic-Con, and saying that it's going to be their biggest Stern booth yet. Now, prior to the pandemic, Stern was going to Comic-Con and coming up with some really nice booths, like nicer than anything I've ever seen them take to amusement industry expos like IAAPA or Amusement Expo itself, where they even had some large pinball-like fixture. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be called, but I think it even had balls rolling around it, and it was like giant wire ramps, and so it just looked really cool. And so I guess they're stepping up on that, and so they announced that they have a new booth partner called Rebellion Republic, bringing their world-class music merchandise to the con, and together with Stern, they're going to be hosting Ozzy Osbourne, the singer of the same name. And they're also hosting comic book artist Todd McFarlane, and they are going to be unveiling new artwork in a special edition comic that also is tied in with Ozzy Osbourne's new Patient Number 9 music album. And so they'll be doing signings for those at the booth, as well as, I believe, with the Rebellion Republic. And it mentions the pop-up arcade will include all of Stern's latest machines. They always take machines there, but I can't remember which machine it was in the past that they unveiled at a Comic-Con, but that's what they used to do, as it makes sense if you are going to be going to an event like this that just gets so many eyeballs there. It's a perfect place to be announcing something new, and that's something that, for the most part, the arcade pinball industry has been generally terrible at, seizing on events like E3 or Comic-Cons to make new announcements. But Stern, they've basically been the Lone Ranger in standing against the grain on that one. Of course, they'll be showing off their Insider Connected system, and they are also partnering up with Nerdist and Toho. Nerdist is a site about pop culture news, geek stuff. Not really looked at it myself. The Toho company, of course, connected with Godzilla directly, and so obviously they're going to be showing off some stuff there about Godzilla, and then they list off all their many recent titles. Now, of course, this has generated a lot of talk in the pinball community on Pinside, which is where a lot of people go to get their news or just discuss different things. You have people surmising or guessing what it is that's going to be unveiled, but as you can see here, what most people seem to be guessing at is that this is going to be a Venom themed pinball machine. Now, of course, if you put all the little Easter eggs together, that seems to make sense. It's Comic-Con for one, and you have Todd McFarlane, who did create Venom, among other things, as well as Ozzy Osbourne. I'm not sure if there's a lot of Venom connection there, but he could easily be doing music for that. And Stern has done comic book themed pinball machines several times in the past. Deadpool is probably one of their better ones. There was Avengers Infinity Quest, which was based on the comic books again, not so much the film. But there also was like the Star Wars comic edition, where they did comic book style art for the same layout of the game and did that. And so we also have Nap Arcade mentioning that, and he's one that he's kind of like me for pinball. So most of his blog stuff covers pinball news with the occasional video arcade stuff, whereas on my blog I'm usually covering video arcade news with the occasional touch on pinball. Part of the reason why I don't always spend a ton of time on pinball and covering every little bit of news out there about it is
ain't nobody got time for that.
And that Jason can watch things like the podcasts and go through the forums. I just, again, don't have the time to go through that when I'm already doing that on the video side. But there aren't a lot of video arcade podcasts. Not really any that I know of, and I know I've tried that myself. But anyways, he's discussed on his blog as well the different connections, speculation as to the connections here that would likely mean the Venom pinball coming along here. And yeah, so there just are various different connections there. So we'll see if that happens. Also, I did notice on Jason's blog here that Spooky Pinball is looking to possibly do two different themes, but with the same layout like they did with Ultraman and Halloween. And from down here, maybe it'll also involve Ben Heck, or maybe that's completely different. But either way, Spooky Pinball is staying busy, very busy, and so we'll see what that is all about. And it looks like the rumors are Evil Dead and Scooby-Doo, which could be cool and also fit the theme of Spooky Pinball. Now, of course, on pin side, there are also people saying, oh, I think this might be an Ozzy Osbourne pin. I am leaning more towards Venom. I guess Venom has been rumored for a long time, and it also wouldn't make much sense for Stern, at least what they've done in the past. Granted, they could always change things up, but in the past, they've never released two similar themes back to back. And so in this instance, I could be wrong about that, but at least from what I can recall, that in this instance, Rush was their last one, a rock band pin, and so it wouldn't make a ton of sense to release Ozzy Osbourne right after that. I mean, granted, maybe they could, I don't know, but gut feeling seems to be that it's going to be Venom. And granted, that if there's Ozzy Osbourne at their booth, he's obviously involved in some way on their next machine, and so maybe it's Venom themed, but it's also going to be kind of an Ozzy Osbourne machine, having a bunch of tracks from him. Wouldn't be surprised. And so be interesting to see what they come up with on that. What do you think? Is this going to be a Venom-themed pinball machine? Is it going to be something else? There's also rumors that George Gomez has been working on a 007 James Bond pinball machine, which could be cool. And so yeah, we'll see where it goes. And hopefully there's something about these that will help bring more people in. As I mentioned in one of my other videos, or that particular video about pinball and why it doesn't do very great for me, is what I've noticed is themes make a difference, but they don't make a huge difference. They don't make the difference as far as a game earning as much as, say, a video game does, or much less a prize machine. And so while they do help, it just depends on what's done with the theme. As you know, Led Zeppelin is one example of a rock band machine that they did, and it's a huge band, lots of fans around the world, but everything that I've heard is just people didn't really seem to care for it, just due to the theme. And personally, I didn't really care for the artwork. It seemed way too busy, almost messy, but I'm sure that's the band's MO as far as how their artwork goes, and so I'm not a true Zeppelin fan, but I guess it depends on each rock band and what their art's supposed to be. I did like Rush, even though I'm not really a Rush fan either, but it was cool, just the things that they did in that one, whereas with Led Zeppelin, I can't remember at all how that played. Anyways, rambling on here. What do you think it is? Let me know and comment below, and we'll see you on the next video.